There are roads on Long Island that are much more than a line between 2 points. Some roads contain legends that travel with you on your journey. In Huntington, Long Island, there's a small area south of Jericho Turnpike that holds more than its share of ghostly tales. 2 roads in particular seem to harbor most of these ghostly wayfarers. Mount Misery Road and Sweet Hollow Road are less than a mile apart at their farthest points. Both are narrow, winding roads pinned in on both sides by thick woods. It used to be that you could turn your headlights off and drive in complete darkness, though due to accidents and land development, lights have been installed and the woodland is diminished somewhat. It still gives off a very eerie feeling, with the trees on all sides and overhead. A feeling where anything can happen. And it does. Odd stories have been circulating about this particular area since even before the American Revolution. At least 2 Native American tribes may have considered the area taboo. It should be noted that this is not how Mount Misery Road and Mount Misery proper got their names. Locals have called the area Mount Misery for centuries, but you'll never find it written that way on any map. It actually got its name because of its unfarmable land and steep hills. Since the area was not conducive to farming, it instead became a crossroads between farming communities, and the difficult trek caused many a wagon wheel to snap. To many travelers, this was a miserable trip, hence the name. Since it became an area of high traffic, the Chichester family decided to build a small inn there, called the Peace and Plenty Inn. Once the milling industry started up, the farmers had nowhere to go while they were waiting for the mill to finish, so the inn became a center of social life. The whereabouts of the inn are uncertain, but to this day there is a Chichester Road in the area. In the mid-1700s, a small mental asylum was built. Back in those days, the best cure for the mentally ill was to shut them up away from the other people so as not to upset the other members of society with their craziness. It suffices to say the treatment was not good, and there are accounts of screams and moans having been heard from the asylum. The story behind the fire that shut down the asylum is the beginning to the strange legends. Supposedly, one of the female patients was going through a bout of depression and managed to set her room on fire with herself inside. This led to her death and burned down the entire hospital. It is said you can still see the patient at times, with a white hospital gown and messy white hair, wandering the roads. We believe this legend is tied to the other lady in white legends that surround Mount Misery. In some ways, she's many legends in one, merged by centuries of oral records and passed from generation to generation. Some say she was a patient of the hospital, while others claim she was a woman walking home from work who was killed by a car in the dead of night. They say she likes to jump in front of cars, and some will even stall rather than run her over. For anyone familiar with the Long Island Mary's grave legends, you may be surprised to note that Mount Misery too has its own Mary, and its own haunted cemetery. This is also intertwined with the Lady in White tales. All over Long Island, there are stories of a woman or child named Mary, murdered in torturous ways and buried but not at rest. Legends say she was walking home and was killed on the roadside, and now she wanders these dark and lonely roads to protect other women from the same fate. Mary is also reported to be in white in her sightings. Many drivers have noted seeing her both at the cemetery and along the roadside. But she's not the only hiker along this road. If you drive under the overpass, where the Northern State Parkway crosses Sweet Hollow Road, there are many things you might see. According to legend, some teens hung themselves from the bridge, and if you park by the bridge and flash lights, they'll appear. A child was once hit by a car near the bridge, and it's said that you can see him sitting in the road. Another oddity on the road is the ghost of Sally, which was an unfortunate individual who was killed when her car hit a tree. The story goes that when the headlights of your car flash past this tree, you can see her shadow sit up. There are other stories of strange figures that walk along the side of the road, and mysterious cars that may appear and chase you out of the area. Another woman is said to haunt the bridge, but is never seen. She was killed in a head-on collision in the 70s, and now protects other drivers from the same fate. The road is very narrow and winding at that point, so it is very easy to believe a collision could occur. If you park under the bridge and put your car in neutral, she'll push you back to safety, supposedly uphill. But even that is not the most horrifying thing that might happen to you along this road. If a policeman pulls you over, try and get a look at the back of his head. If there's no skull back there, you've just met one of Mount Misery's ghosts. If you see a man walking along the road in the rain, but when you stop to pick him up, he's gone, don't be alarmed. Just another ghost. Some witnesses have reported seeing a disheveled man walking with a basket of heads, supposedly from people who mysteriously disappeared in the area. Spectral humans are not the only spooks to look out for at Mount Misery, though. According to some tales, there's a creature called a Hellhound also. It lurks in the trees by the road and will stare at you with its fiery red eyes. Its fur is black as night, and some believe seeing the hound is an omen of imminent death. Tales about Mount Misery have been passed on from person to person for over 100 years, so it stands to reason that the tales will change and grow. Do demonic dogs really wander the roads, as does the eerie lady in white? Only the road itself knows for sure. But whether you're a believer in the legends or not, it is indisputable that there are more oddities located in this small neighborhood than any other on Long Island.